Greetings, my name is Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Higurashi When They Cry Chapter 1. In the last episode, we learned that pretty much all of Keiichi's friends from his club are family members of all the people that had been killed or died in mysterious ways, with the incidents in Hinamizawa, starting with the Dam Forerunner's death. Satoku's parents died in the second year after the incident started occurring. Mion herself had a direct confrontation with the Dam Foreman before he ended up dying. And Rika's parents were the priest and his wife that ended up dying and disappearing. The only person among the whole group, the Satoshi person that we've learned about who disappeared right before Keiichi came to town, turns out that he is Satoko's older brother. So, yeah. Every single person, with the exception of Reina, has had some family members that were connected in some way. Well, I guess Mion too, now that I think about it. I don't think she had any family members that were killed as a result of the curse, but with the exceptions of Mion and Reina, all the other club members have had relatives that either died as a result of the supposed curse, or ended up disappearing on them in some fashion. Either way, every single person in the group, except for Keiichi, is at the very least an actual native to Hinamizawa. Which, by the way, we learned that Rina too is actually a native of the place too, but she moved out of Hinamizawa when she was young, but then eventually back into it after she started apparently seeing visions or something of Hinamizawa's guardian deity just, visiting her while she slept. And second, it would seem that not only Rina, but now Mion as well, is growing kind of fed up with Keiichi talking to Ushi-san about, everything that they've been discussing until now. Because they both paid Keiichi a visit shortly after he got home, and they got very confrontational with Keiichi about him and Ushi-san's talk at that restaurant, which they apparently knew about, somehow. And after they all parted their ways, Keiichi thought it would be a good idea to try some mochi that they brought for him, and he found out that at least one of them had some sewing needles in them, which, if he ended up eating it, would have warranted a trip to the hospital. Needless to say, Keiichi-san is unquestionably in serious trouble now, at this point. I don't think there's any room for doubt anymore about that. So if he were smart, he would contact Uishi-san or some kind of authority figure, let them know what's going on, and see if he can try to get some kind of help. Otherwise, things are only going to get worse from here. Without a doubt. So I guess all we can do is just see if Keiichi will do just that. But somehow I'm feeling cynical, so I'm going to say no, he's not going to do that. At least in this chapter. Tap, tap, tap. The sound of muffled footsteps stopped in front of the door to my room. A moment of silence, as if whomever they belonged to was ascertaining if I was inside. Of all the things I should have been doing, I continued on with my restless slumber. I was very much conscious, but my body hadn't caught up yet. Even with the danger bearing down on me from just beyond the door. It was as if I was completely paralyzed, unable to move. Without a doubt, this was sheer terror. Please. Just leave. Hey, why isn't my body awake yet? If they came into my room right now, then... Ah! Eek! I sprung to my feet and threw my covers at my mom, who was opening the door. Whoa! Keiichi? What's the matter? Sorry. I was still half asleep. I thought it was still 1 or 2 a.m., but the morning sun was already streaming through the gap between the curtains. It felt nothing like a morning. Yesterday, I must have fallen asleep right after that. Then I should have gotten a full 10 hours of rest. But it didn't feel like that at all. My internal clock was completely screwed up, and my sense of balance felt off. I felt feverish enough that it was clear to me that I was still not well. Still not feeling well, huh? Top of everything else that's going on, certainly would not be good if you were sick with something nasty. Well, Keiichi, how are you feeling? Can you make it to school? I was well enough to go, but I wasn't mentally prepared for it. I was still plagued with the terror from yesterday. If I had swallowed that needle, what would have happened? Best case scenario, you would have gone to the hospital. Worst case scenario, you probably would have bled to death internally. Or what if it had pierced my tongue? There was undoubtedly a murderous intent, but I don't think that's all it was. If they really wanted to kill me, then there were other, more certain ways to do it. I think it's all about sending a message, man. A very clear-cut message, if you would. To help get the point across. Made sure that no part of the message wouldn't pierce that thick skull of yours. Okay, I'll stop. This is getting kind of lame. They wouldn't resort to such a dubious method as having me swallow a needle. Meaning, I didn't want to believe it, but going that far was just a threat from Rina and Mion. Aren't you glad you didn't die? But next time we'll use a more assured method. Like that. Something like sending a letter with a razor inside would have been a joke compared to this. Did you make it to the hospital? Did you take your medicine? Yeah, kinda. Something about my mom's dubious gaze bothered me. She seemed more concerned about her son missing 2 days of school rather than him being sick. It was definitely mental fatigue. I wasn't really physically ill. It'll be hard for you to get back on track once your daily routine is thrown off. Come on, get up. I say wellness is a state of mind. Yeah, well, whoever told you that was clearly on drugs. I heard that line many times before. I was given an award in elementary school for having perfect attendance. But it wasn't like I was healthier than everyone. Come on, go wash your face. Breakfast is already ready. There isn't much time before Reina-chan comes and gets you. Mom's tone meant I couldn't argue about it, so I had to give up on skipping a second day. By the way, were you the one who got bean paste all over the living room wall, Keiichi? You shouldn't do something like that. Your father was quite angry. I didn't feel particularly guilty for doing it, so I didn't have much of a reaction. Also, Mom didn't question me any further about it. She headed back downstairs after she was certain I was getting up. But Mion said as she left yesterday, I'd hate it if you missed school tomorrow. came back and dwelled in the back of my head. What did she mean by that? I think it's quite obvious. Come to school tomorrow, where we can keep an eye on you, or else. I didn't even have to really think about it. She was saying, don't be absent. Taking that a bit further, it was the same as her saying I should just go about living my life as if nothing happened. If I showed any signs of acting unusual, it would probably result in them making their move. For example, maybe I shouldn't pay attention to someone like Wushi-san enticing me with something unusual. Meaning, if I didn't watch my mouth or did anything differently from the norm, in effect, it would end up flagging myself as someone who is not wanted. And it seems that was something that the girls didn't intend to forgive. So, if I just went along as normal, no harm would come to me. Was that how it was going to be? I'm feeling cynical about this, so I'm going to say no. All that misery I experienced up until yesterday would almost creepily just fade away. It was an enticing deal. Just by forgetting everything I'd seen or heard these last few days, I'd be able to keep on living like normal. There's no way such a selfish thing could. I swallowed hard. I once again deliberated on the idea that I had just rejected. Mion was probably a good person who had her friends at heart. Maybe she is, but are you actually her friend? That's what you should be asking yourself right now. Does she actually consider you a friend right now? She was giving me, who had mistakenly broken some rule of theirs, a chance. I don't know if getting the needles in food is the sort of reaction I could get here, is the sort of warning that I would get for breaking a rule as a part of their little club. I would want to stay the fuck as far away from said club as possible. Was what I did really something so unforgivable? Apparently, but Mia had given me another chance. She was saying, if I just forgot everything and kept on living like I had been, I'd be forgiven. That's too optimistic a way of looking at this. Again, I think it's more something along the lines of, you better stay where we can easily keep an eye on you, or else. Keiichi, your food is going to get cold. Hurry up and get down here. Reina will be here if you don't hurry. I'm coming. I crammed my textbooks into my bag and hastily made my way downstairs. I picked at my somewhat bland breakfast. It seemed that I didn't have much time. It was already past when I usually met up with Reina. Given yesterday's events, she'd probably be here in the next 5 minutes. I needed to be ready to head to school by then. I had to forget everything that had happened the past 2 days. Forget it all and return to my normal life. If you want to ensure your own death, if you want to ensure your own possible death, I would just follow that train of thought to its logical conclusion, man. For this to be normal, I'll have to be where I normally met up with Reina. Today of all days, the rice was dry and hard to get down. Too late. I jumped at the sound and dropped my chopsticks. That chime signaled that Reina had arrived. Mom hurried me along. Come on, Reina-chan's already here. Hurry, hurry. My mom's merry smile and my gloomy face were polar opposites. Honestly, I was reluctant to see Reina, who was waiting there on the other side of the door. The Reina on the other side. Was it the Reina I knew? Doubtful. I couldn't keep her waiting. I needed to do things as usual. Morning! An invigorating greeting filtered in from across the doorway. I came since Keiichi-kun was a bit late. Will he be okay today, I wonder? Doubtful, but he'll try. The manner in which Reina was concerned was, without a doubt, the Reina I knew. But that was probably only if I reciprocated. Forget everything from yesterday. Pretend as though nothing had happened. Forget about the gruesome dismemberment. Forget about the mysterious deaths that happened the following years. Forget about the people falling to their death, and the terminal illness and suicide, and the lynching, and all the disappearances. Forget it. Forget all of it. Forget that Reina and Mion were scary. Of course, forget it all. Forget about everyone. Forget about the mochi, too. Forget. Reina once again asked to make sure. Can you make it to school? Yeah, I'm fine. Great! Then let's go! Mi-chan is waiting. Reina showed me her usual bright smile. I couldn't find any hint of deceit in her expression. My nervousness dissipated, giving way to relief. Enjoy that relieving feeling while you can, man. I suspect your time to enjoy it is going to be very short. But you see, Satoko-chan was so insistent she could do it. As we were walking, Reina talked about a lot of different stuff, more so than usual. Then, Satoko-chan is clumsy, so she failed no matter how many times she tried. Oh, she was so cute. You find things cute now, especially Satoko, is now being cast in a very darker light compared to before. Now that I know that you're not exactly fully functional upstairs. In fact, I'm getting kind of worried. If Satoko isn't as insane as both you and Reina appear to be, I'd be very scared at the prospect of you taking Satoko home with you. Everything Reina talked about was just silly nonsense, so I just replied every so often and laughed from time to time. It was a rather laid-back conversation. We passed by one of our neighbors, and they called out to us. Oh my! Keiichi-chan and Reina-chan, aren't you two a bit late today? Mion-chan said she was going on ahead. Uh-oh. Did Mi-chan look mad, I wonder? We need to hurry, Keiichi-kun. As we smiled and parted ways with our neighbor, they turned back towards me and stuck out a tongue. Not expecting that, I couldn't help but crack a smile. Keiichi-kun smiled. What? Reina stopped and stared at me. I was thinking that you still hadn't recovered from your cold since you seemed down this morning, Keiichi-kun. And now you seem fine. Fine? So what? Now that I seem fine to you, does that mean that you'll feel less guilty about torturing this poor kid some more? With a grin, she gently poked my cheek. It was a bright, sincere smile. I highly doubt it's sincere. Hey, Keiichi Meibara. How can you still doubt Reina after she shows you a smile like that? How can you not still doubt Reina after she shows you a smile like that? Considering everything that's happened since then. Well, before today, I mean. Maybe I just had a high fever up until today, and I imagined everything that I thought happened because I was bedridden and delirious. I can't believe you're even entertaining this line of questioning. I really hoped that was the case. If God would grant me just one wish, there's only one thing that I'd wish for. I would want what happened in the past few days. More specifically, from the night of the Wata Nagashi up until last night. I want all that to have never happened. I wonder how many times I'd wished for these past few days. As long as Reina kept on smiling like this, I think it might just become reality. So I want Reina to keep on smiling. Keep on smiling. So, Keiichi-kun. Smile dropping in 3, 2, 1. Those mochi yesterday. Did you eat them all? Okay, smile didn't drop, but it's still a very, tense question to ask. That vain wish of mine was instantly shattered. I'm pretty sure your smile, if you had one, is well and truly gone by now. My heart began palpitating. The relaxed morning mood suddenly became frigid. Reina's smile was the same as usual. Her eyes were gentle as usual. It was mochi yesterday. Did you eat them all? Of course, she wasn't asking the question at face value. In other words, Reina was asking, did you get the message? You could say it very quickly and efficiently got the point across. She was probably trying to convey that. Keiichi-kun? I was reluctant to give an answer. Reina stopped walking and stared deeply into my eyes. Don't hesitate, Keiichi Meibara. Reina was acting the same as always, wasn't she? I need to respond in my usual way. Naturally, of course. But both my throat and mouth had gone dry, and my lips were stuck together. Hurry and answer, Keiichi. Not that much time had passed. I could still keep the conversation going naturally. I had to say something quickly. De? Reina playfully mimicked what I said when I finally squeaked something out. Reina's reaction was still normal. Define normal. It seems that there wasn't as long of a pause as I had thought. Somehow I finally squeaked out the rest. Delicious. However, my strained efforts neither sullied nor brightened Reina's expression. For a moment I panicked, thinking I'd replied incorrectly. But after a few moments, Reina broke into her usual soft smile and giggled with a joyful voice that seemed to echo through the morning air. Being strung along by that laugh, I couldn't help but laugh as well. I see. So did you eat all of them, I wonder? My timid smile froze again. Did you make it without swallowing the sewing needle? Was that what she was asking? I think it's pretty blatantly obvious that's exactly what she's asking. If I had swallowed it, then I wouldn't be here. Nah, I couldn't finish all of them. There's still some left. I was scared out of my wits. But that's how I played it. Huh? What about the homework to see if you could tell which one Reina made? That homework. Was it due today? Yeah, it's due today. Michan will get angry. There's probably a penalty game ready for you. Oh shit! Penalty game, oh fuck. Oh boy. We're kind of screwed, aren't we? We both laughed at each other again. To a casual observer, it was just a typical morning. If I could just let myself believe, then even I'd think it was just the usual morning routine. But I was certain I wasn't mistaken. There was something unimaginable buried beneath the facade of this giggling Reina. Lies! I recalled that unexpected, piercing voice that I could hardly believe came from Reina's mouth. The moment that image crossed my mind, I felt a cold sweat trickle down my back. Was it only at that particular time that something evil had possessed Reina? No, that was wrong. That was still Reina. Ushi-san told me, didn't he? Actually, I looked into her. Before Ryugu-san moved away to Hinamizawa, she was suspended from school. It seems she went through her school building and broke all the windows. Reina had a disorder that normal people didn't. No matter how pleasantly she smiled, that fact would not change. But I couldn't even imagine how she looked as she broke all the glass throughout the school. One thing I knew was that it wasn't something spur of the moment. If it was some sudden outburst of anger, then maybe she'd break a pane or two. But she broke all the windows all throughout her school. Just imagine going through with your own school breaking the windows with a bat. Swinging full force at each pane of glass, one after another, paying no heed to the flying shards. Your classmates aghast, unable to move from the sudden turn of events. I wonder where she could have found the most windows lined up in a row. Probably the hallway. Smash, walk, wind up, walk, wind up. It was difficult for me to connect that horrifying image with the Reina smiling at me right now. But I just had to imagine it. Impossible because it was unimaginable. That naive way of thinking no longer worked. The unpleasant, piercing sound of shattered glass. The crunching noise as Reina treads across the broken shards, walking towards me. Reina's classmates going pale as they forget to even breathe. I wondered what they did as Reina came closer, breaking windows along her path. Did they earnestly try to bring her to her senses by saying something? Or did they jump at her, trying to stop her savagery? Or did they run to the staff room after being directed there by the teachers? Probably none of those. In the face of that blood-curdling sight, of Reina bursting window after window, undoubtedly all they could do was silently clear a path for her. Dumbfounded, just clearing the path for Reina to continue. It was far too violent an act for them to seek refuge by looking the other way. That's not to say they were looking the other way. They were doing the only thing they could to protect themselves. If they had done something differently from the rest, they may have suddenly found themselves as Reina's new target. What would Reina have done to whoever attracted her attention? The answer was obvious. She would have undoubtedly acted according to her whims. Meaning I would, be in the next window. Reina, staring into my eyes, shards of glass crunching and crackling underfoot as she drew closer. I was also drawn into her eyes, paralyzed. Then Reina struck me with the bat over and over again, like I was one of those windows. I crouched down onto the floor, desperately protecting my head. Reina didn't care whether it was my head or my back. Zealously, she hits me again and again. What kind of expression was she making as she was doing this over and over again? I peered up to see. Her expression was so indifferent. It was completely unnerving. It's because no matter how many times she struck me, I didn't make as pleasant a sound as the other windows. She struck me continuously, over and over again. The sound Reina wanted didn't come out. Our classmates standing around didn't try to stop her. They didn't want to be the next window. Somebody save me. Turn a blind eye unless we're hanging out. But of course, everyone in class scrambled to obtain the highest standardized test scores. They'd gain nothing from saving a cram school tryhard like me. Eventually there would be a faint sound, similar to when you crack open a walnut, and some sort of reddish-black spray would shoot out. Anyway, it wasn't that Reina momentarily lost herself in her anger. After forcing myself to breathe and calming down in my heart, I recalled what Ushi-san told me. And in the counselor's medical report, he recorded all the conversations he had with Reina-san. It shows up. Quite a bit at that. What does? She mentioned the word Uyashiro-sama. Following that, Reina was suspended and had regular examinations at the hospital. Then, as Reina was undergoing counseling, she said it over and over. Uyashiro-sama. It seems that the Uyashiro-sama she spoke of was like a ghost, appearing in her house every night. Standing over her pillow, looking down at her. That was only a piece of their conversation, so I still couldn't see the big picture. but it was by no means a happy little conversation. And what Reina did, was she saying that ghastly incident was a result of her being possessed by Ueshiro-sama? Who the hell knows, man? Up until now, I didn't want to believe in Ueshiro-sama's curse. That's why I wanted to say the mysterious deaths every year happen because of some sort of conspiracy. Every time I talked with Fuichi-san, I was more certain that the deaths were the work of men and not some curse. Except, if it was people perpetrating the incidents, my friends were somehow deeply connected. And if I refused to believe that the curse was real, then I'd have to believe that those who acted the kindest to me were deeply involved in the incidents. Why? How? For what reason? Was Reina? Was everybody? It was much more painful and troublesome than accepting that it was just Oyashiro's curse. In the aftermath, Reina had admitted to her doctor that it was because she was possessed by Oyashiro-sama. I felt a strange sense of relief from that. So that's how it was. There wasn't a second side to Reina. Then how do you explain her abnormal behavior up until now? She did that because she was possessed by something strange, like Oyashiro-sama. It wasn't Reina's fault. Oyashiro-sama was the one to blame. I knew. This was all backwards. Refusing to believe there was a curse, I wanted there to be a human perpetrator. Now that my close friends were the ones under suspicion, I changed my beliefs at my own convenience, saying it was Urashiro-sama's curse to blame. Which was the better choice? Accepting that Urashiro-sama's curse exists? Or that Reina and the rest of them were deeply involved in the string of mysterious deaths? You want to know what I think, Keiichi? I think, as bitter of a pill to swallow as it will be, the truth will ultimately set you free. And based on the currently available information and evidence that we have, I say it's more likely that humans are involved with what's going on. At least if Reina and Mion's behaviors are any indication. I didn't want to think about it. If I just didn't think about it, I'd be able to continue the same as always. I wanted to believe that. But that was no longer possible. I had received their message. It was pathetic of me to try and bend the meaning to my own convenience, regardless of my opponent being a human or curse. I won't let it kill me. As if I would just bend over and give in. For no good reason at all. Keiichi-kun? You've been making a really weird face. Why, I wonder? I wonder. Because he doesn't want to die. Inhaling sharply upon hearing Reina's voice, I came back to my senses. Before I'd realized it, we were already at the entrance. Shaking my head a few times, I exorcised all those terrifying thoughts. No matter how you looked at it, there's no way Reina could have done such terrible things. It was like I was trying to placate myself. You keep telling yourself that. Let me guess. Trap laid by Satoko. As I slid the door open, A blackboard eraser loaded with chalk dropped down on my head the moment I stepped into the classroom. Yup. The chalk dust went into my eyes, inducing a brief moment of agony. Ow. Oh! How befitting for the truant Keiichi-san. So, Satoko, I believe it or not, I actually am sorry to hear about what happened to your parents and your older brother. Good morning to both of you, Keiichi and Rina. I'm also express my condolences for what happened to your parents, Rika. Good morning, Satoko-chan, Rika-chan. Please get the deadly mochi maker away from me, please. Not quite in the mood for it. I didn't really react to Satoko's trap. Satoko braced herself as I passed by, expecting me to attack her. She seemed a bit disappointed as I simply walked by silently. What is this? How discouraging indeed. Keiichi doesn't seem back to his usual self yet. Yeah. Take it easy on him for today, okay? Suddenly there was a slap down my shoulder. It hurt a bit. Good morning to you too, Mion. Hey! Kei-chan, did you get enough rest? It was Mion. My mind was full with the stuff about Reina, but Mion was also a party of interest. Remember, Keiichi, that hawkish gaze from yesterday. Yeah. Morning. What's with that unenergetic greeting? Did you eat the mochi I brought you? Because I ate them, I'm like this. Those words were itching to be blurted out. I really just didn't have the appetite. I ate a few, but quite a lot were left over. Huh? What about the homework? Do you have an answer for which one was Reina's? I can't believe you'd forget your homework, Keiichi-kun. Sheesh. We can't help it. Time for your penalty. Uishi-san, if you're nearby, could you please come and help this poor soul before they do something nasty to him? Please? Flashing a lurid smile, Mion returned to her seat. Never heard that word before. Lurid. There was nothing from our exchanges that would cause our classmates to suspect anything was amiss. But of course, anyone listening to our conversations up until this morning wouldn't see anything suspicious. That was why it was so frightening. They acted in a way that, regardless of whatever happened to Keiichi Maebara, no one would ever suspect them. That fact had me terrified. Soon the teacher came. After she asked how I felt and took attendance, another dull, ordinary day began. This free study period was a convenient time to consider where I stood. I gently closed my eyes and pondered the ridiculous position I was in right now. First of all, what I shouldn't forget was how dangerous of a situation I was in. I'd fallen out of favor with them. After interacting with Fuushi-san multiple times, I could see it as I was getting closer to the heart of the matter. the warning yesterday of the mochi was a good indicator of that. No. Calling it a warning was just my habit of understating things. It probably had no meaning beyond stunting my progress and buying themselves some time. Until they had a method of completely erasing me. They were just biding their time. Even though they were keeping me under their thumb with threats, it didn't change the fact that I knew too much. Finally, I am in 100% agreement with you on something relating to your circumstances. The chilling sensation of my desk made me recall Satoshi Hauju. Huju? The boy who was using this seat until last year when he disappeared. Was he also similar to me? Did he learn something he shouldn't have and was erased? On the surface, I'd be inclined to say that's a strong possibility, but considering that he's the older brother of one of this group, I don't know. I mean, you're certainly one example. You're certainly unique in the fact that you are a complete outsider to Hinamizawa, and had no connection at all to any of the deaths that occurred since the damn foreman was dismembered. None whatsoever. Satoshi, on the other hand, well, he's one of the kids who he was one of the kids whose parents ended up dying during one of the incidents, and he himself disappeared sometime after that. I don't know. I don't know why, but I'm kind of doubtful that if this group is capable of... I'm kind of doubt that despite what you've experienced up until now, that they would get rid of Satoshi like that. Just off him because he knew too much of something. Besides, now that I think about it, that really wouldn't make sense because, I mean, again, he too was also connected to the incidents indirectly, so by that logic, they would all have to kill each other off here because they knew too much about the trauma that they all suffered together. What I'm saying is, whatever is going on with Satoshi here isn't quite adding up to me. But you, on the other hand, your position makes a little bit more sense to me than, well, what you're theorizing about Satoshi. Damn. I wouldn't let them get rid of me so easily. Never! But, were they really trying to kill me? I've had these contradictory feelings for a while now. Even though I suspected them, I felt I had to cover for them. With all their suspicious behavior, a morning like this just made it seem like an elaborate hoax. No, it's just what I want to believe. Doubting my friends, covering for them. My life was in danger. Or was it? Actually, I was bidding the wrong point. Given my current situation, those plans were something that should have been deliberated on a long time ago. But really, Reina and the rest of them, were they actually aiming to kill me? The little voice inside me continued to torment me with these unresolvable trains of thought. Are you an idiot, Keiichi Mibara? The answer should be obvious. But maybe that sewing needle might have been just an accident, right? Yeah, sure. A sewing needle just happened to wind up inside one of those mochis that Reina or Mion, whoever the fuck actually put it in there, most likely Reina, it just fell right into all the ingredients as she was mixing it all together and baking it all. It totally happens all the time, you know, in the kitchen. Because I mean, hey, we all keep our sewing kits and our food in the same basic pantries, right? How could you screw up and drop a sewing needle into a piece of mochi? The benefit of the doubt can only go so far. Both Reina and Mion had acted and behaved suspiciously. But maybe it was all some sort of misunderstanding. What kind of misunderstanding? It wasn't just suspicious. It was outright ludicrous, right? Reina just corrected me for lying. Mion only asked me what I had for lunch. Reina was standing outside our door, eavesdropping for a good hour, you know. She was probably just waiting for my phone call to end. For a whole hour outside your room? And is it normal to go home afterwards without saying anything? I really would listen to this voice and the other voice inside your head, man. They're speaking complete and total sense. You heard from Uishi-san, didn't you? But what Reina did at her former school? But at the hospital, she said it was Urashima-sama's fault. She... Cut it out, Keiichi Maebara. Don't you realize they're out to kill you? Yeah. I inadvertently blurred those words out. Oh, you fucking doofus. You blurted those words out right in front of them. Oh, God. Oh, shit. This is not good. Not good. I mean, who cares about what the rest of the class thinks? Hearing myself say that so directly left me dumbfounded for a few moments. Afterwards, I had to look around and check if anyone had heard it. My little soliloquy cut a little too close to the truth. Even though I could feel the murderous intent from Reina and the others. Part of me somewhere was still trying to deny that. This late in the game, such hesitation could be fatal. I agree, so stop hesitating. I knew that. But I was just your average student. A man living his normal, ordinary life. And if you don't stop acting like an ordinary student and start, you know, doing whatever you need to do in order to protect your sorry ass, you are gonna die. Do you think I could suddenly believe that my friends who I had been happily laughing together with up until last Sunday now intend to kill me? Right? You're too soft, Keiichi. This time I remember to keep my voice down so only I could hear it. Okay, I thought that was someone else speaking. There's one thing I now understood. I was too soft. I didn't completely understand how dangerous Reina and the rest of them were. No, I wasn't trying to understand. I was too soft for not listening to Uishi-san when he was earnestly showing me the heart of the matter. I didn't listen because I was too busy pretending to be dejected. I didn't comprehend it. I was just running away. I didn't comprehend it, so nobody had any notion to try and kill me. I needed to get rid of such naive thoughts. As I made that resolution, I heard the bell signaling the end of class. So soon. Day was already over. I didn't recall eating lunch or doing anything in class. My friends were putting their desks together in preparation for club activities. Not long ago, I would probably have happily jumped into that circle. My, Keiichi-san? How rude of you to even think about leaving. The way Satoko spoke was so typical and familiar. It almost physically hurt. Huh? Keiichi-kun, is today not a good day, I wonder? I wonder. No, I would say it's actually not been a good week. But you would know, wouldn't you, Reina? And we were going to win big together. Oh. Seeing Reina's expression, which said she was really looking forward to today, was hard to take. Hey, Keiichi. Maybe Ueshi-san is just some enormous jerk trying to separate me from the others by lying to me. And why would he do that? What would he have to gain from it? Slap. Trying to expunge such weak-minded thinking, I slapped myself in the face. Keiichi-kun? Yeah. Was Reina really trying to kill me? I would think that with sticking a needle in some food that she made for you, she's certainly trying to do something to you, all right. I wish someone would tell me it was a hoax. I didn't care if it actually was one or not. I just wanted someone to say it was. It'd be one hell of a dangerous hoax if that was the case. Yeah, another weak-willed thought. How did I ever become this naive? Are you alright? Does your head hurt? No! I'm not alright! Apparently that was how my inner dilemma appeared to Reina. You're pale. Can you make it home by yourself? Maybe I should accompany you home, I wonder. I wonder why, so you can hack my head off and drag my corpse into the woods and bury me somewhere? No, it's okay. Sorry. I can get home by myself. Just have the meeting without me. Upon hearing that I wasn't going to participate in the club meeting, Mion pouted unhappily. Since Kei-chan was so bent on a revenge match, we were going to play that deduction game from before too. Keiichi-san doesn't have the burning desire for a rematch. How pathetic. I wouldn't fall for some dumb taunt. Without even a real retort, I just grabbed my bag and was about to get up. Someone's hand perched itself gently on my head. Rika, please stop. Keiichi doesn't seem to be well. How very unfortunate. You won't get any disagreement from me. It was Rika-chan. She was stretched up as far as she could, doing her best to pat my head with her petite hand. It felt so nice, which made things even harder. Sorry, everybody. See you. That's all I said as I quickly left the classroom. They said something to me as I was leaving, but I couldn't make it out. I managed to make it all the way to the entrance in that state of mind. Took out my shoes, put them on, and went forward. Forward. Harden that heart, Keiichi Maebara. They were, for some unfathomable reason, trying to kill me. They were plotting something dubious, watching my every move. But I couldn't hate them. Because weren't they my friends? Friends wouldn't stick needles in each other's food. For me, that's the sort of thing that would warrant me breaking their fucking nose if someone tried something like that on me. Part of me lamented my naivety, while another part lamented the fact that I had lost something important by lamenting it over in the first place. It felt like my consciousness was being ripped out of my body. If this is what Orishiro-sama's curse was like, then it was just too harsh. Hey, Orishiro-sama. I was wrong for not believing in your curse. But I believed in it now. Completely. Your curse does exist. So seriously, give me a break. I beg you. Come on. Dinner was unusually bland. It had no flavor or aroma. The miso soup that normally tantalized my appetite instead tasted like nothing but boiled water. Dad was eating with us that night. It was a rare occurrence in this household. When he got into his work, he ate and slept on his own schedule. My dad never cared about the time. Since my dad was at the dinner table, it either meant he had just reached a good point to take a break, or he was in a slump. So yeah, he just doesn't understand the motivation creators have. Your partnership was just a verbal agreement, wasn't it? If it's so hard to agree on things, why not just end it? I feel like it's an industry with a lot of back scratching. But when it gets in the way of business... I wasn't able to pick out much of my mom and dad's conversation, but I could tell it wasn't a very pleasant topic. That, of course, made the disgusting food even less appealing. Staring listlessly at the exchange between my parents, my mind wandered off to the same thought processes I had going all day long. Friends close to me. No, they used to be friends. But I could no longer trust them. Right now, I was greatly lacking in allies. People I trusted. People I could depend on when push came to shove. There was something I just didn't have. Having just one ally would have been incredibly reassuring in the currently hopeless situation I was in. I put down my chopsticks and looked over at my parents, who were still talking about work. The first course of action that came to mind was to tell my parents everything. Currently, there wasn't a single person from Hinamizawa I could trust 100%. That meant the only people I could trust were my parents. But if I told them everything that happened up until now, would they understand? Well, if they cared, they would at least take what you're telling them at least somewhat seriously. Reina, for example. That neighborly Reina, who was so diligent in looking after me, came to get me every day, sometimes brought over a share of what she made. How could I explain that she wanted to kill me? You don't have to explain that your fear that they're trying to kill you. All you gotta tell them is, hey, they've been acting to me in a very threatening way, and they put a freaking sewing needle in some food that they shared with me, and it's just been acting very intimidating towards me in general. That is 100% the truth of the matter here. You could just tell them that, and you could just let them think of the rest. Think of the implications. No matter how I explained, it would probably be difficult for anybody to comprehend. My somewhat eccentric dad wouldn't understand, and my high-strung mom would probably drag me off to a psychiatrist in the blink of an eye. Sadly, that was the amount of trust that existed in our relationship. You got one other person. You know, that gentleman that you've been having friendly chats and meals with together for the past few days. Even if they did come to understand, what could they possibly do? Oh, I don't know. Call the authorities. Consider moving out if push came to shove. Something? Unless they could uncover the truth, they wouldn't be able to protect me They don't need to uncover anything. They just simply gotta get you to safety. No. By informing them of these unnecessary things, I'd be putting my parents in danger as well. They're already outsiders, just like you. As far as I'm concerned, they're already in danger as it is. Considering that the victims in past incidents were often married couples, I couldn't even joke about it. For the entire Maibara family to have an accident, or to just vanish into thin air, it was easily possible in Hinamizawa. What was important here was that knowing something unnecessary put you in danger. The most unsettling question was, how did they know that I knew? As long as they don't know, my parents might not fall victim. That was one way to think about it, I guess. Well, when you're dealing with a bunch of crazy paranoid people who are out to get you, and anyone else they perceive as knowing too much, I'm pretty sure they're going to end up thinking that you might have mentioned at least something to your parents at some point, and they'd probably go after them too, just to be on the safe side. You really shouldn't put anything past obviously paranoid and dangerous people, man. Especially when it's obvious that your life could be in danger. At least it was like that in my case. After I found out, things started becoming odd. In other words, it meant the following. As long as my parents didn't know anything, nothing would happen to them. As long as my parents were here, this house would be a safe haven for them. I knew these were just assumptions based on conjecture, on top of conjecture. Wanting this house to be a safe haven. That was the pinnacle of my weak-willed method of thinking. I had to concede that it was not completely safe. It was only safer than the outside. I knew that I couldn't rely on my parents. No. I couldn't risk getting my parents involved. You idiot. At this point, what do you have to lose other than your life? And just think about it from your parents' perspective. If you end up getting killed or vanished in some way, do you really think that your parents are going to take it well at all? I really don't think so. So just tell them so they can maybe do something to try to prevent something bad from happening to you. And maybe them as well. I mean, these are your lives we're talking about, man. At this point, I would just go in full swinging and just, screw it. Do whatever it freaking takes to get as far away from this place as possible into some sort of safety. And if your so-called friends or anybody from this town, from that matter, tries to stop you by force or something, fight them off. Freaking break their noses, trip them, push them down, fly stairs, do something. Anything to defend yourself. Then the only person who could be my ally would be Wushi-san. Him and him alone. I'm glad you're thinking about him. He was the only person who understood the situation I was in. He didn't care so much about my safety, but he was without a doubt passionate about solving this case. It was a bit frustrating. Wushi-san was basically the whole reason I was in this mess. Now to get out of it, I had to rely on him. Meaning, it was all going according to his devices. It was just my job to look appetizing while bobbing in the waves as bait. Then, when the fish started gathering around, Wushi-sen would pull up the big haul. It was slightly infuriating, but even I thought that was the best course of action. So then, what should I do? Ring, ring, bitch! That's what you should do. Patience was the first rule of fishing. Just keep waiting until the fish actually bites. As far as I'm concerned, they've already started nipping at you with their teeth. Give the guy a call. But I wasn't simply bait. There were lots of ways for me to struggle before being devoured. Don't get any funny ideas, man. When they struck, I needed to somehow dodge just enough and tag out to Ushi-san. No question, it was going to be hard. The timing to bring Ushi-san would be difficult. Not as difficult as you think. He was in the city, not Hinamizawa. So if I phoned him in my moment of need, it would take him about 30 minutes to reach me. Best case scenario. Assuming something like bad traffic or hell, anything, literally anything else doesn't get in the way between him and you. So I need to run away for those 30 minutes. For example, if we set up a rendezvous point for dire situations or something, I just have to hide out there until Ushi-san arrived. Okay. I can almost see it now. I was still being chased around in the dark by boogeymen, but now I knew which way to go. I would never have imagined this would be so reassuring. Oh yeah. It'd probably be best if I had a concealed weapon for when things got rough. Good idea! Typically that would call for a switchblade, but that wasn't too reassuring for combat. Then bring a bigger knife. Also, since it was recognized as a weapon by the public, that also wasn't good. So what do you suggest then? Defending yourself with a 2x4? Like Tomitaki did? Really, when the time comes, a long weapon like a bat would work in my favor. I remembered there was a metal bat at school. I could be confident with that when push came to shove. Guess it's better than nothing. If I pretended I was practicing my swing, then it wouldn't be suspicious for me to carry it around, always carry it around. I could go to school early tomorrow and secure it. Just possessing a weapon may be enough to deter them. I really don't think it's going to be that simple. But at the very least, it may give them pause. Also, one more thing. Insurance. It could be something like a note or memo. I could write down everything that's happened as a sort of journal. In case I suddenly vanished, the journal would be left behind. With my journal in his possession, Ushi-san would be able to avenge my death. I left my parents engrossed in their conversation about work and went back to my room. Don't leave out any details, then. I tore out a piece of paper from a notebook and made my way to my desk. Last time I wrote a journal was for summer homework in elementary school. In the off chance something bad happened, the police could use my diary as a lead. So I should only write down the facts. How should I start? I jotted down my thoughts as they came. I, Keiichi Maebara, am in fear for my life. It made me laugh nervously. It was a line that showed up often in detective stories. I never even dreamed that I would be in the type of situation where I'd write it myself. I do not know why they are after my life. Reina and the others were suspicious, but I had no proof. Well, I would think that the needle in the mochi would be proof enough that they at least want to harm you, if nothing else. And that's why I couldn't write anything more. I laughed wryly at myself for writing such a passage draped in mystery. Would the police be able to get the hint from reading this in an enigmatic passage? No. I can only pray that they would. What I prayed for the most, though, was that this journal never needed to play its part. Here, I laughed nervously. It was too simple, so I wrote down one more line I just thought of. The only thing I do know is that it has to do with Orishiro-sama's curse. Was that too much? I probably shouldn't write more than that. If I wrote any more, then it would seem like I was just delusional. In order to appear to the reader that the person who had written this was of sound mind, I chose not to write anything else at that point. I just needed to add more as I learned more about the truth. I folded the paper and thought about a place to hide it. By hiding it somewhere obvious, there was a chance that they would uncover it instead. On the other hand, if it was in too obscure a location, then there was a risk of nobody finding it at all. Well, I think that's a risk that you'll have to take if you want to be doubly sure that your pursuers won't find it. In the end, I decided to take the clock off my wall and stick my folded note on the back of it with Scotch tape. After that, I put the clock back into its normal position. Yeah. It didn't look like anything was hidden behind it. Now I needed to set it up such that if anything happens to me, my parents could find it. I looked at it from countless different angles until I was satisfied and I made my way downstairs. Now just imagine if Reina or Mion or hell, even Colonel Sanders was out a nearby window somewhere and they managed to catch sight of him putting the note right behind the clock. And then they climb up to his window, go into his room, take the note, and then run off with it. Only for Keiichi to come back, maybe on a whim, just decide to see if the note is still there, and then finds out, oh shit, it's gone. I almost want to bet money that something like that will happen. My parents were still talking about work. It didn't look like it was going to end anytime soon, so I cut in. Sorry to interrupt. I have something I want to talk to you about. I never started off a conversation like that before, so my parents were both startled. They stopped talking and turned towards me. What is it, Keiichi? I have a favor to ask of you, so please listen. Just in case, yeah? If it's not urgent, can we do this later? Right now, Mommy and Daddy have something urgent they're talking about. I didn't think their talk was more urgent than mine. In any case, I stated my request. Just in case, okay? If I die... Both of my parents' eyes went as wide as saucers. If I die... I want you to put the clock on my wall in my coffin. If they did that, then they'd probably find it. My memoir. Both my parents remained wide-eyed, not moving an inch. I wonder if they're thinking, is that cold of his causing him to get paranoid or something? I couldn't blame them. I made that clock in shop class and I really like it. So please. What's the matter? Keiichi, did something happen? Mom was finally able to ask me with a questioning gaze. Of course, this was a normal response for when someone's son suddenly talked about a subject like this. I felt bad about making them worry, but right now I just wanted them to think about the clock in my room. With the awkward mood leaving my room in silence, I decided to go back up to my... Leaving the room in silence, excuse me. I decided to go back up to my room. I want to get to school tomorrow, school early tomorrow, so I'm going to bed. Good night. Same only that. I left the living room. I need to get to school early tomorrow and secure that bat. I should make today the last day I went to school with Reina. As I climbed the stairs, I heard my mom call my name, but I pretended not to hear her. It wasn't something I could talk about with my parents. Oh, yes it is. If I talked about it, it'd only make things more dangerous. Maybe, but it would also probably increase your chances of survival. The fight that had begun was mine and mine alone. I couldn't rely on anybody. This sort of thinking is the sort of shit that will get you killed, you idiot! I wouldn't be killed. Not when I still knew nothing. Don't give me that bullshit. You know full well that line is just full of complete shit. Oh, God. The right things are going. I just don't see this ending well. You received new tips. Not feeling so hot. Only one, huh? Alright. So, what is this? Keiichi-kun's been feeling down lately. Maybe he's in a bad mood. Well, you're not wrong. I wonder. Maybe he's on his period. Me-chan, that's gross. What do you think? Don't know. Could it be that Kei-chan? Maybe? I don't know. That day, Kei-chan was in that car talking to some tubby middle-aged guy, right? Yeah. No mistake. That Oushi, he probably fed him something fishy. He was so serious. Keiichi-kun's face was so pale. You see, he might not know this, but he's actually the messenger of Uyashiro-sama. What now, huh? Who, Oushi? Or Keiichi? Huh? What do you mean? Whenever he shows up, someone is demoned away. Oushi, then? No lie. Oh? Is that so? The year before last, when Rika-chan's mom drowned, right? Right before that, she was visited by Oushi. Now that you mentioned it, it happened before Satoshi-kun transferred out. Transferred? You're so sweet, Reina. So this time he's appeared before Keiichi-kun. So Keiichi-kun is going to be demoned away too. So you're both concerned that I'm going to get demoned away by the curse? So if that's true, then what exactly do you gain by threatening him with needles and food and shit? An empty silence hung in the air. And then it was suddenly interrupted. By loud laughter. This tip is only making me ask more questions than... Yeah, Damn it. Oh, man. This is a mystery wrapped in an enigma, what I'm delving into. Well, I guess we know what we're probably going to be in for next episode. Keiichi's going to try. I'm going to say that Keiichi's going to try to get the bat, but maybe he'll run into Reina or Mion or somebody, and they'll ask, "Hey, what are you doing here so early? And why do you have that bat, Keiichi-kun?" Something to that effect, and then things will just go downhill from there. I'm almost willing to bet that's what something like that is going to happen. Maybe it won't. Maybe something else altogether that's bad will happen instead. Either way, I'm not feeling very optimistic that things are going to go well for Keiichi next episode. But who knows? Maybe a miracle can still happen. Doubtful, but you just never know. So I think what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and cut things off here, and we can see whether I'm right on any of my predictions in the next episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this latest episode of Higurashi When They Cry Chapter 1. If you did and you want to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you all next time. Take care.